I want to get your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, 1 year, $13 million, an interesting marriage. Adam Schefter is reporting that this was Pittsburgh's third choice, that they were trying to get Matthew Stafford, that they thought that it might be an experience in a future that involved the quarterbacking of Justin Fields. And now you are seeing Aaron Rodgers. They're sort of the quarterback discount bin is empty.
Yep.
At the game of musical chairs makes it so that they couldn't go into next season with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback. You simply cannot do that. So they just end up on Aaron Rodgers, and how do we think that's going to go?
Well, I don't think it'll go particularly well. I think Aaron Rodgers has shown that he's pretty much spent in terms of the Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago, the Aaron Rodgers from his prime. The Jets let him go for a reason, and Aaron Rodgers only looks good if you compare him to Mason Rudolph. He kept the Steelers on hold for months, and this is what the Steelers get for not moving on from the possibility of Aaron Rodgers.
I think the Steelers are in a situation now where they have to go with Aaron Rodgers. It puts them in a situation where Aaron Rodgers could hopefully turn back the clock for enough for them to make a run, but he also can put them in a position to draft a quarterback next year when the quarterback draft class is a little bit more attractive. I don't have a ton of faith in Aaron Rodgers, but a year removed from the Achilles injury, people do have a little bit more success once they have a little bit more time to recover. But it's not an injury that has a long history outside of Kevin Durant.
Well, you've seen the numbers on him turning the ball over more. So I ask this question sincerely, even though I know how the audience feels about what I'm about to say. If I tell anyone in the audience, you're someone who cares about the Steelers, what would you prefer? Mason Rudolph is your quarterback next year, or Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback? Everybody would say, I've seen what Mason Rudolph is, and I've seen what Aaron Rodgers has been. I'd rather hope than go with Mason Rudolph. So I ask you, Dominique, in real terms, having looked at the analytics of what the decline has been and historically how bad quarterbacks get after the age of 37, is Aaron Rodgers actually a better option than Mason Rudolph? Yes or no?
Yes, he's absolutely a better option than Mason Rudolph because, you can find moments. I think what you want from a quarterback at this point is can they make the throws that not other quarterbacks can make? You can find moments in Aaron Rodgers' season last year that are really ugly, but you can also put together a pretty impressive highlight tape. I think that the players on that team, the fans of that team, and the coaches on that team, in their mind, their best version of this is we play great defense. We don't ask much of Aaron Rodgers. But every now and then, we ask him to do one of those special things. Can he do it? Mason Rudolph cannot. So you don't even have that as an option or opportunity. So I think that's what players and fans and coaches would like about Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I have a question, though. Would you prefer Aaron Rodgers to either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields?
I think so, given how last year ended, because it's the unknown of it. I'm not saying that it's smart or rational or right. I'm saying if I were on that team, I would say, yeah, go ahead and let those guys run, and we'll see what Aaron Rodgers can give us. I think the other more complicated and difficult thing to talk about when it comes to Aaron Rodgers is what his presence means beyond his ability on the field. And we want to focus so much on the things that we fully understand, like we can see how well or poorly he throws. We don't know. Despite the fact that we pretend like we don't know exactly what the Aaron Rodgers presence in the locker room means. Leading up to his stint with the Jets, we were spinning it as positive. Like, he's there. He knows how to win. He's going to expect things from other people. They're reinvigorated because they see how high their ceiling is offensively. And then the following year, we're like, man, everybody hates Aaron Rodgers, gets all the coaches fired. No one really likes to be. Like, I don't know what that particular ingredient is going to do to the chemistry of the Steelers locker room.
Well, what held Pittsburgh back last year? Clearly quarterback play, but the inability to trust the quarterback. I actually like using Aaron Rodgers the way that they use Russell Wilson, and hopefully you can talk yourself into well, we can trust him to throw more if we need it. That was kind of in the way of Pittsburgh when they played Baltimore, was you kind of need Russell to throw. And when he was slinging it, it wasn't bad, but I can understand why you stopped short of fully trusting him. Aaron Rodgers historically has been very good at taking care of the football, and if he's going to buy into Mike Tomlin's way of just keep us in this football game, we'll find a way to steal it and sneak into the playoffs, even as a third team in that division, which is what most people likely have them. That's probably what the odds makers have them at. They can still get in the playoffs, and I would trust him to steal one against a better team in the playoffs more than Russell Wilson, because I would trust him to throw it more.
It feels like Aaron Rodgers has a really good first year with his locker room, and then that second year is when things kind of start tailing off, right? So you have him for a one-year deal, and then maybe he's the good Aaron Rodgers in the locker room for that one-year deal, bridge quarterback, and then you get somebody else.
Well, let me figure this part out, though, because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is capable of being humbled. I think anyone trying to predict how he'll behave in that locker room, that's a fool's errand to try and figure out what that looks like. But I'm more interested in this. So you got Mike Tomlin, nothing but winning seasons, but also in this particular quagmire, which is that fan base spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger, one of the best, okay?
7 starters since he's retired.
But spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger and also spoiled by this part. They got to watch the decline of Ben Roethlisberger when he was younger and his body was failing than Aaron Rodgers. And what that looked like was Mike Tomlin winning all the games. Nothing but slants, Ben. Nothing but slants. And every once in a while, please hit a 3rd and 9 down the field where you throw it for 30 yards because you can still make one of those old Ben throws. They've gone through all the quarterbacks since then. They're like, bring us back the old Ben. Just slants, slants, slants. 3rd and 6, slants. Be super accurate. Be Drew Brees super accurate. And every once in a while, please, Aaron Rodgers, on 3rd and 11, can you hit somebody down the field for 30 yards? Make 2 of those plays. Make 2 of those plays half a season.
Yeah, but they had better talent around Ben in those days. Like, I understand they acquired DK, but it's Robert Woods after that, who's been in the league forever. They have a new RB1 in Jalen Warren, who's been around the franchise for a long time, but it's the supporting cast of characters isn't what it used to be.
But what I'm asking Dominique is about the frustration that the Pittsburgh fan base would have about that offense in a phone booth constipation of, we're just trying to get 7 yards on 3rd and 6.
It's a style of play that fans do not like unless the results are there. And while we marvel at Mike Tomlin's non-losing record, Steelers fans are done with it. And it's been a short, like it's all about expectations and what you're accustomed to. They've been accustomed to a level of success where they are sick of this mediocrity. Like you said 7 quarterbacks, but it's only been like 3 years since Ben Roethlisberger was their quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback then, but like you had to stay with him. It's funny to listen to, or not funny, but it's interesting to listen to a fan base who's been so stable and had so much success get frustrated with that stability and success when you look around at the rest of the league. It's like you had 3 years of not having a quarterback. Most everyone else looking at 10, 15.
But do you guys hear what he's saying there? Because I believe that these two things are actually so, and it's a crazy thing to say. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season since he's been coach for a franchise that has had 3 coaches ever. And also, Pittsburgh fans think the last 10 years of it are mediocre. The word is mediocre. Right? They keep making the playoffs. They always win more than they lose, but they're extinguished so quickly that Pittsburgh fans would absolutely have the assessment that Mike Tomlin the last decade has been mediocre. How can those two things be true?
Well, I think it doesn't help that if you're a Steelers fan, you see other downtrodden franchises like Detroit, like Washington, get pretty damn good pretty fast, and your team is still stuck in something just above mediocrity.
See, I got to cut you off there.
Yeah.
They didn't get good fast. Like, I guess they got good out of nowhere, but those 2 organizations were bad.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though.
For long stretches.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, 2 years ago, they're both among the dregs of the league. Now, all of a sudden, especially Detroit, I mean, you're looking at Detroit as a Super Bowl contender.
It's hard to look at the whole, like, the big picture, but if you asked a fan base, would you rather have had the run of the Steelers or that of what the Commanders have? Like, obviously, they all choose the Steelers because the Steelers, even during their down period, they've been mediocre. Like, Washington was terrible. I live in D.C. the team was an embarrassment for a long stretch.
30 years.
The same thing for the Lions, which is why I get why the Steelers fans are upset, but I also get why people would look at them and say, shut up. You don't know suffering.
I'm really interested in this pairing, though, because I know it's a fairly recent thing that Aaron Rodgers is reputed to be a coach killer, but for most of his career, no. He actually worked against his best interests, and he kept mediocre people around in his life for too long. It certainly cost him at least one Super Bowl with the decision-making that happened in the NFC Championship game against Seattle. He's always surrounding himself with Nathaniel Hackett's of the world. I'm happy that he gets to go to a franchise where there is an established leader in that locker room, and it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers' cast of merry men that you just drag in here. We have a Pittsburgh Steeler way of doing it, and I'm the first coach with an actual personality and spine that you're going to listen to.
What's interesting to me about Aaron Rodgers signing with Pittsburgh is that Dominique is right when he says Steelers fans are growing really impatient, and it's also true to say that Aaron Rodgers is not a real likable character at this point. Not real likable. And I think there's the potential for a real combustible relationship. If Aaron Rodgers starts poorly or the Steelers are 0-2, I think you're going to hear booing. I think the mindset's going to be, why'd we sign this old guy? So I think it's a very volatile situation that's going to be really neat.
Can we explore, though, the question that I'm asking you guys? How do both of these things exist? The most stable franchise in the sport, 3 coaches in their history, has a coach who has not had a losing season in his entire time coaching. His fans are tired of the mediocrity. What are we talking about? Are you guys telling me that if you're the 10th best team in the league, that's mediocre? That's what you're telling me? Because Tomlin's been that for a decade and a half. It's not Lions get here for a minute and people are already closing their window and Ben Johnson's over here saying, I don't need a tush push. I don't need short yardage plays. We're all about 40-yard plays. Pittsburgh is going into a season trying to beat you with 7-yard slants and defense. And we'll try and go on the road and see if we could beat Burrow.
I mean, Pittsburgh fans are used to winning Super Bowls, and it's been a minute since they have. You know, Dolphin fans down here still look to 1972 and 1973, ancient history. If you've won Super Bowls, if you're used to winning a Super Bowl, it's not good enough to be 10-6.
But that's not mediocre. 10-7 can't be mediocre.
It's not good enough.
But for the first time in his career, I feel like he's going to a place where the expectations are perfectly calibrated for him, and with what the team actually does compared to the perception of him. People still think Aaron Rodgers is this chuck it down the field guy. Even when he was in his prime winning MVPs, he was very careful with the football, so I think it actually plays well to his skill set.
This is all game management. He will no longer be a game breaker. He's just going to be a game. It's don't make mistakes. It's not even make plays. It's don't make mistakes.
Right. And I think that to Mike's point, should be encouraging to Steelers fans because it is a good fit. But to the question that I think you feel like we're not answering, it seems pretty simple. It's about expectations, and it's about what you become accustomed to. Like, I could give a ton of different examples or analogies, but like if you go back 100 years, the idea of having air conditioning would be like odd to you. Now, if I took your AC for one day, Dan,
oh my God,
you would be infuriated.
Oh my God.
The Steelers fan base have been living in AC. And now they just turned they haven't even taken it away. They just turned it up to 70, 72. And they're like, it's hot as
They haven't changed the filter. That's what they
There
haven't
you
done.
go.
Yeah.
And they're like, somebody do something about this. While other organizations are looking at them like, I've been in this swamp. It's 94 degrees in here. I can't sleep. This is unbearable. And they're looking at the Steelers like, it's only 70 over there. Wait till you feel this. Like, I get how that feels.